soon as Deion's son said, "This is what I want," and he got it, we thought it was an anomaly. No, he knew his worth.
But go ahead.
Because I was about to say that
he knew his worth.
You can,
okay, go ahead.
Sorry, because you can think that you know your worth, and the great example for me that I witnessed myself.
He knew his worth.
Look, man, I was.
But somebody else, you only worth what somebody else is willing to pay.
I was a 1 year starter in high school, right?
Looking for a response.
But here's the thing, though.
I'm not looking for a response.
But here's where knowing your worth can backfire. Like, or here's the thing.
This is when you should just absorb information.
I understand.
And not talk. Like, but sometimes when wisdom's handed to you, sometimes you have to absorb it and ponder.
Hey, part two, back with Isaiah. We had his dad on last week, and we didn't get to hear Isaiah's, Rico. Rico talked about his story and how proud he was of this young man. But, tell us, you give us your history. And, thank you for coming back, too.
Yeah, appreciate you guys for having me. So I think for the first time in my life publicly, I will claim Woodruff, South Carolina as, the biggest part of my history. So I was born in Fairfax, Virginia, but when I was about 3 or 4, we moved to South Carolina. And then I ended up growing up in Woodruff, South Carolina, so I did all of my primary, elementary, middle school in Woodruff. My parents took me to the country, and it was interesting. It was different. It was difficult. But I think I started sports with baseball, actually, in first grade. My dad put me in baseball, and I was not good at all. He just had me out there, and that was my introduction to sports. And then after that season, that's when, as he talked about, the dojo. After that first season, and I've never asked him what went through his mind as he was out there watching it, but that's when all the rigorous trainings started. That's when he had me out in the front yard, and he would pitch me 100 balls, just daily, regular. We'd hit, and then I go pick them up. And we had, I want to say, about an acre, so I mean it was big yards. So hit the ball all over the yard, and then just going to pick them up. And so it started with baseball, moved into basketball, and then ultimately landed in football. But that dojo mentality stayed with everything that we did. So my dad coached me in football and baseball and basketball. He never coached me in football, just always at home. So we did all the private home trainings. And he glossed over this one, but I remember playing football in 6th grade, and I was struggling with running through tackles and stuff like that. I was a bit on the soft side when I was a kid. And he takes me outside, and this man puts on, in Gridiron Gang, bro, he put on a helmet and shoulder pads and had me put on my gear. And I'm in 6th grade. I don't even know how old that is, but it's not very old. My dad's 220 at this time.
You go to jail for that now.
And he just made me run through him over and over again, bro. And I just kept getting hit and crying and hit and crying. And but finally, I ended up getting the lesson and just, powering through it. And then from there, because he also talked about my injury in 6th grade, the first year playing football, where I dislocated my shoulder and just sat on the field and cried. And cried till they put me in an ambulance, everything. And from that point on, an injury never kept me down. I never missed a game due to an injury until I got to England. Those rough, hard messages that some people, like you said,
tough love.
You go to jail for things like that, but that shaped and molded my entire sports playing career. Because when we were talking about it last week, my dad was tougher on me because his thought was he never wanted me to be broken by any other coach. So his thought and theory was the harder he can be on me, he just wanted to be mean. He would yell at me, and he just rode me and stayed in me so that when I started playing for other coaches who would do the same thing, I wouldn't be broken. And shout out to Coach Boyd and them at the Citadel, but those were not easy coaches. We were every name in the book, and they never broke me emotionally in the sense where I would get upset and be like, man, they talking to me like this. I would just get pissed off and just want to be better, just to kind of prove them wrong. So there's a lot of things that we talk about. There's a lot of things that won't fly in today's world and society, but it really shaped and molded me as a man, but also as an athlete, because I think athletics are important. It taught me most of the lessons that I
teamwork. You got to depend on somebody else.
Yeah, but you also have to build up the weakest link on your team.
Yeah,
because you can't be great yourself and then have as an offensive lineman, at least 3 of the 5 got to be solid. Right. 4 is great, and then if you can have all 5, that's phenomenal. You're not always going to have everyone, but you have to build up the people around you because you can't do it by yourself.
And it's just another, it's just like a walk in life. It takes a team. I don't know anybody can do everything by themselves. You know what I mean? You need other people. And if you don't, you probably pretty much don't want to be around them. You know what I mean? Because it pretty much tells their story.
You don't know it all.
That you don't want to be around them, right? You know what I mean? I mean, everyone plays sports growing up when we were kids now, but it's a specialty. Everyone plays just one sport their whole life now. You know what I mean? So that's why I think, injuries. One time we were talking about injuries. These kids are playing baseball 365 days a year. I mean, that's not good for anybody. You know what I mean? So, and you don't develop any other muscles either. You know what I mean? To become an athlete. Yep. So a shout out to your dad, because it was tough love for all of us back then when you did something. You know what I mean? But it was called constructive criticism when we were growing up. Yep. Now it's called, what is it? Child abuse, or and some people do take it too far. You know what I mean? So you need laws for them too. But tell us, I know your dad's a big boxer, so tell us, how did you get introduced to that?
It's actually funny because I remember being at my grandfather's house in Virginia when Mike Tyson and Evander Holyfield fought. I don't really remember the fight, but when Mike Tyson bit his ear and everything. So my introduction to that is probably 4 years old. I can't remember what year it was, but I remember being there. My dad said I cried when all that stuff happened. And I remember growing up, Evander Holyfield was my dad's favorite boxer. And flash forward to the future, I went to a boxing tryout here 2 years ago and got to meet Evander Holyfield. And so that was pretty awesome for me, because I was like, man, I grew up not really understanding boxing as a kid, but sitting down late at night watching, I think it was when it was still HBO boxing, to watch Evander Holyfield fight. My dad would have people over at the house, and we would watch Evander Holyfield. So yeah, I grew up kind of watching boxing. And to be honest, before I got into kickboxing and Muay Thai, that's what I wanted to do. So when I decided that I wanted to train and get into a martial art in a fighting form, I wanted boxing. But where I was at in Charleston, I couldn't find any gyms that I was interested in that were active, in competition style boxing. I wasn't just trying to do the cardio boxing. I really wanted to learn how to box, and at the time I didn't want to fight, but I just wanted to learn and be in a place where it's I want to develop some skills, and if I need to defend myself on the street, I can. So I kind of accidentally fell into kickboxing and Muay Thai. But
how'd your dad feel about you?
How did he feel about it? At first, no one expected me to pursue it professionally. It's when I first started, it was just to work out, get in shape, kind of goes to the life after sports. I played football my entire life, and nobody teaches us how to handle life when it's all over. So you spend all your time and all your energy, and your entire identity is this thing because you've done it for so long. You've been regimented for so long, and the sports world just kind of spits you out when you're done. And it's so go on and live life that you've never learned how to do. Since I was a kid, and especially once I got to middle school, my life has always been regimented with meetings and practice, and my whole schedule of life is shaped around, we have summer practice for football, cool, we're not going on vacation. Can't go to Thanksgiving with the family because I have practice because my high school team makes the playoffs. And so, well, it's not and it is. So my dad did a great job my dad is the king of rest. So my dad held me out of all-star, in the summer playing sports, held me out of all-star teams to be nah, you're going to go be a kid and go spend time with your family. During my off seasons, he would be nah, don't go work out. We'll do some light stuff, but he'd be rest, man, you just finish this. My dad, we weren't go. We had a couple years where we would do fall baseball, basketball, spring baseball, and then the next year we would drop fall ball, and then it would just be basketball and baseball. And so he tried to keep a good balance of not overworking me, because I do remember him actively talking about what you said. We'd have kids in my small town whose parents would have them playing baseball all year. Pitching coaches, hitting coaches, and stuff like that. And you've got kids who could have been good potentially, and they throw out their arms and literally.
Or they get burned out.
Or they get burnt out.
Because, it's supposed to be fun at some point, too. I mean, I don't know an 8-year-old that needs a hitting instructor. You know what I mean? You're still trying to figure it out. What's the end of the bat? There's some things that you have to go through. If I hit it on a sweet spot, it doesn't hurt my hands. You know what I mean? a computer can't tell you that. You need to be able to figure that out on your own. So. No, hats off to your dad on that. But I'm still, because I know he's a boxer, and then you chose.
Yeah. So like I said, all right. So it was by accident. Then I had my first kickboxing fight. Like, my parents have been supportive of everything, and there is no but. However,
how long was your boxing career? How many fights?
Zero.
Oh.
There was no such thing as Isaiah Pinson as a boxer, bro.
Oh.
It did not exist.
Did your dad? Did he try to lead you towards boxing?
All right, so that we were at a head with that one. So I jump into kickboxing. I'm still in Charleston. My parents live here in Vegas. I'm still kind of torn in life on if this is something I want to do. I take my first fight, and I'm like, man, I think I want to try to fight professionally. I'm still young. Like, I think I'm 23, 24 at the time. So I was like, this is the time in my life to try to pursue this because I can work the rest of I got a college degree. Like, I've got good experience on my resume. I can do IT work. I can do a lot of different things. So I'm like, I should pursue being an athlete now so later in my life I can do something different. Talked to my dad. He convinced me to move out here. He's like, look, if you want to pursue this dream, like, I got you. I'll do whatever I can to support. Move out here with the intention of getting into boxing. But I also still have my kickboxing background, so I get here, and I'm doing a little bit of both.
Matt, can I?
Yeah.
The intention, was it your intention?
It was both. Both of our intentions, because I do enjoy boxing. I love boxing.
It was part of kickboxing, right?
It is. However, once I started boxing a lot, it's not that I got bored with the sport of boxing, but like, I had developed kicks and like a love and a passion for throwing kicks and elbows and knees. And Israel Adesanya had said it best. He was like, how can you walk into a room and be like, I can only throw hands, and feel like I'm the most dangerous man in the room? And when I thought about it, I was like, yeah, man, and I would offer it to a lot of the people that I would spar with, just playing around. And I'd be like, all right, so I'll do 3 rounds of boxing with you guys, and like, you want to just do 1 round of kickboxing with me? And they'd be like, nah, bro, not gonna let you kick me in the leg. Nah, I don't want no parts of that. And like, the coach I was with, I went to a couple different gyms here. Was over at Mayweather's, Wayne McCullough's gym. Like, I've sparred with some great people. I met some phenomenal people. So it was the intention at first, but then when it started to get serious and get to the point of like talking to different coaches, they were telling me that it's going to take more years to develop my skills, and it just felt like I was going to have to restart. So it felt like none of the background that I had with kickboxing was going to carry over at all, and all I wanted to be essentially was a professional athlete. I wanted to be able to eat, sleep, and breathe like training. I didn't want to have to go work a job.
When you made that decision, when you were back home, was there a time, like 20, you said 23?
Yeah, it was about 23, 24.
You gave yourself 23 until, or was there no
timetable?
Yeah.
So my thought is 23 to 35 is my original plan, is still my plan, but I also put in backstops. So like every couple years, so like right now my next evaluation point for myself is 30. So when I started at like 24, then I was like, all right, every 2 years I'm gonna evaluate where I'm at with fighting and make sure that I'm moving and progressing in the right direction. And if I feel like I'm not, then exit and pivot and do something different.
Are there any variables in that decision making? Like, do you have to be at a certain dollar amount? Do you have to be at a certain success level when you're at those backstops, when you're at those evaluations? Have you set variables there? Like, at 30, I want to be making this. I want to be knowing this. Is
it monetary or goal? And
yeah, my variables, and obviously it changed. So to fast forward through the story, once I got into the PFL and I kind of got into the business of fighting and started to see what it's like, because I'm not gonna lie, I was naive. And once my manager was like, "Hey man, I can get you an opportunity on Challenger Series of PFL," I was like, "Great." And I go out there and I win this fight, and I was like. And he was like, yeah, so you're in the PFL now. I was like, man, my life's about to change. It's about to.
PFL?
PFL is Professional Fighters League. So right now you got UFC at the very top, and then PFL is another big promotion right up under. It's still growing. They actually just bought Bellator last year. But I was sitting there, and like once I made it, I was like, cool, I'm in a big league, I'm in a professional league. My life is about to change. Like my monetary stuff, my opportunity to make money and all that stuff's gonna change. So that was the original variable of like, it was kind of monetary. But once I got into the business, I started talking to guys who are in the fighting business, and I'm not going to say any organizations, but didn't matter which one. I talked to guys in a bunch of different organizations, and you realize there's still more variables once you're inside that door. So now for me, my variable for the next 365 days is going to be progression.
But that should have been your standard. You know what I mean? That should have been your standard, not like fuck talking to everybody else in the business. If I'm not here at this standard, if the league is not rewarding me, because in this league, it's you create your own worth. You set your worth. You rank yourself and you tell them, hey, this is my worth, and you give them the option to accept it, promote it, whatever. Correct? But that's how it should. That's how it should be.
But
that's how you should.
But it's not how it. That's really not how it works. Because my time in the PFL, no matter
it's how it works. It's the end result, if they accept it or not. But you promote yourself and say, right?
But that's why Dana White's the billionaire. You know what I mean? Because
the promotion's there. You do all this. You say this. You put yourself here, and you say, this is what I'm worth. Now, they determine your market value.
And
how much? Doesn't the market determine your market value?
Well, yeah.
Because the people that became bigger, or the people that make a lot of money in the UFC, are the people that became bigger than the UFC, where Dana White had to pay them.
Right.
You know, because otherwise it's like you're going to go to another promotion.
But if they follow the standard UFC model, they would never. They would never set their self-worth.
No, that's true, because Isaiah, you probably know this. There's a lot of UFC fighters that have been 10, 15 years in the game that really haven't made a lot of money.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or like, you know, like as soon as Conor fought Floyd, he made 12 times what he normally made.
Correct.
Well,
but he had to be a superstar in that industry too.
But he knew his worth to take it out.
At that point, but sometimes you need that platform to,
to
help you
he set his own standard, guys.
But he still had to fight who he had to fight.
But it was his standard.
He became loud.
It was his standard.
He became loud.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
but he had to win. If he wasn't winning and he was loud, he'd just be another one in the hood.
But here's the thing: sometimes
he had a loss.
But sometimes in the game, winning isn't that's the worst part.
Even when he lost, he had a standard.
Yes.
Even when I struck out, I had a standard.
He had his shit. You know what I mean? He had a standard. This is what I'm worth. But what I'm saying.
But
I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry.
I understand what you're saying, but for every one of Diaz and Sean Jones and John Jones and Conor, there's 7 million that didn't even get to that point, because not that their standard wasn't there, because you need a little luck too. You got to be in the right place at the right time.
Are you the B side? Are you perpetually the B side? The organization doesn't measure. Like, I know a guy here who is a savage. He is a killer. He's fought in UFC, Eagle FC, ONE FC, all those things. And he and I sat down and had a conversation last week, because I'm bringing him on as a striking coach. And his story of ONE FC was they put him against former champions, past champions, didn't matter. He beats them, and they still weren't rocking with him. He was trying to set his standard. He was going out and performing, and the first opportunity, be able to sell tickets, bro. And the first opportunity they got to cut him, they cut him.
He may not be able to sell tickets.
But that also is counterintuitive to the beauty of the sport.
Huh? Due to the fact that when are you guys going to understand? Okay, the sport is the sport. Okay, the sport is the sport. That's what he's trying to tell you. But it's a business.
Yeah.
You're just part of the.
So that's why they only have. That's why you don't have a say. Remember, you're talking about the NFL. No, their standard. You think those guys wanted to end up the way they promoted themselves and had self-worth?
But you can walk away, guys. But you can say they don't meet my standard. I'm out of here.
And some guys do that. But this is the deal. When you worked your ass off your whole life and you put blood, sweat, and tears ever since you've been 5, 6, 7 years old, and that's your dream. And you're not thinking about plan B.
Yeah, you have to. You have to. That's like me opening the doors here and making a loss every day and say, man, that's still my plan.
No, I think that's different.
No, it's not.
I think
the mentality. I'm talking about the mentality, Greg. It's not what you put into what you're doing. It's the mentality. Once you have to have a mentality to either get there or stay there.
But you also
have to have a mentality, bro.
But the other part, and I think this is the part that people try to pull out of sports, but it's a huge part of it, is emotion and passion. Like, I hate that they're removing, like, football, for instance, getting rid of the taunting and all the things they try to call flags when things get a little bit chippy. But at the end of the day, sports are an emotional thing. Everything you're saying is logical. And, with the backup plans that I have and the things that I can go, the tools that I have to be able to go do something different, make a pivot, and, like, I don't have to live in poverty anymore. However, I love fighting. I love competing.
Can I ask you something? The reason that you picked kickboxing over boxing was due to the emotion.
And it was due to the love of it, because my dad wanted me to take up boxing because boxing has money. Like, my dad was like, if you're gonna fight and you're gonna take damage, he was like, I would much rather you become a boxer because it can pay you, it can help take care of you.
But you had to go for what you love. See, that's the key.
And in theory, I was like, you're right.
Love.
And I started doing it, and I was training. I was like, cool, I'm gonna do it. And then I was like, man,
son, if you're gonna do this and you're gonna sustain this, make this amount.
Yes, easy to say. It's hard to do.
But you can't. He's being a dad, guys.
Yes. That's why we have no, like, he and I don't have a knock about him wanting me to choose boxing and stuff like that. The rub came a little bit when I made my decision. And the crazy part about it is I made my decision after talking to several boxing coaches, them saying, yeah, we're going to need you in the amateur circuit for another 2 to 3 years. And I was like, man, that's going to put me close to 30 before I actually start making any money. See, you were talking about the standard. I was like, it's going to put me at damn near 30 before I start making money.
And okay.
MMA, hold on. And the funny part of the story is MMA was, I was like, I looked at my dad and I was like, I'm being flown out to train with professional fighters because of my striking skills. MMA will be a faster route for me to make it to a big stage and actually have an opportunity to start making money. An opportunity and being able to seize the opportunity are two different things, but at least have an opportunity to start making money.
Are you paid when you spar with? Are you paid when you fight and train with other
professionals? No, and that's also a business decision that I make as well. And it's because, and quite honestly, the two guys that I'm training with right now, the experience that I'm gaining is invaluable. When I am just an amateur kickboxer and my coach is like, hey, come down to Mayweather's to spar with this professional who is now a dog. Like, he's one of Francis Ngannou's, Francis Ngannou flew him out to Abu Dhabi or wherever they were, and he was in his training camp, and I got some valuable rounds with that guy, to the point where, like, we see each other out on I just saw him the other day. He was, we were leaving the movie theater, we say what's up, learn a lot.
Where does that experience from him, it had to take a physical toll on you? Where does that elevate the dollar amount now? Where does that experience say now I should be worth this much because I trained and fought with him? Where are you at now?
So
in your work?
The direct carryover to me is my first finish in MMA out in Iowa was a combination that I actually landed on him in the gym. So I go from that finish to then my second professional MMA fight, I'm with the PFL. So I took an experience that I had with this guy, this professional guy, boom, I'm able to land this combination. So then, for whatever reason in the fight, I fainted, the opening was there, and I let that 5-piece go. But then from there, when my manager's trying to push me to the PFL, they need somebody to fill in. And granted, they weren't looking at me as like, this kid's going to be a dog and he's going to come and win.
Where you think, should I be a title? Should I be a fight for the title next? Should I be able to fight the third contender?
I'm still up and coming, brother.
But I'm asking you, where's your mentality? I don't want you to let them dictate what you think you're allowed to try to obtain. Why don't you take that mentality into there? Why don't you show up dressed and ready for the position in front of you?
Now, I will say with the dressing part, it was actually funny. My coach's wife had that conversation with me about the last one. She was like, "You need to start dressing
No,
for dressing the part."
It's a metaphor for be ready. Let's say Greg don't make it tomorrow. Be ready to take the chair. Be ready for the position. Have that mentality. Don't tell them, like, have that mentality going into it.
But like, all right, so what do you? Because I'm trying to pick up like what you're saying. Because my thing is, when I think about myself and like my current, I don't take a lot of time off.
Is this what you're trying to say? You're trying to say like you are in control of your own destiny with
Yes.
this thing,
Yeah.
and that you shouldn't let managers, agents, other people in the industry dictate what you're doing.
It
It is and it isn't. Though.
It is and it isn't. So like with
Yeah.
the PFL, right?
There's been a when you look at, sorry to interrupt, but when you look at the entire fight game from boxing, like all the way back to Jack Johnson, way back in the day, right, to MMA now, who are the people that have become the superstars of all this?
No,
Nope,
the people
there's
that
two.
promoted themselves.
They're all promoted themselves.
No, Floyd did it differently.
But Floyd went from
He was his promoter.
but he went from the good guy to the bad guy. So what I meant by is that
it doesn't matter his mentality.
in all sports, there's the guys that just stick the straight route.
His mentality.
That become they're the heroes, the good guys, the George St. Pierre's in UFC, right? That kind of mentality. Or you're the heel. It's just like wrestling.
No,
You just got to pick a side.
see, no,
What side?
You don't think so?
not with Floyd.
Connor took like
Not with
Muhammad
Floyd.
Ali's playbook
Not with
from back
Floyd,
in the
gentlemen.
day.
He became the bad guy because everybody wanted to see him lose. He wasn't the bad guy because he stopped selling himself. He was always Floyd. People wanted and tuned in to see him lose.
But what did he do to make people want him to lose?
He was Floyd.
Yeah, but he was trying to be the good guy. He was trying to be Pretty Boy. He was Pretty Boy Floyd.
No, he was Money Floyd.
No, he became
Pretty
Money
Boy
after.
shit changed. He was Money Mayweather.
But he was
And
originally
y'all can't
Pretty
do
Boy.
shit about it.
But
And that's why they tuned in to see him lose.
no,
That was in the end.
But I agree with you.
But he was marketable. That's why his guy is the best MMA fighter in Vegas.
I actually
but he's
think
not
Floyd was
marketing
unmarketable
himself.
in the beginning.
He was that good.
Too good.
He was that good.
He was all defense because that's what boxing is.
But he's not marketing himself. If this guy is one of the best and he's not marketing himself,
But
he doesn't have the right mentality. The sport is all encompassing.
So we're in a different world now. It's just like with social media. So as we came into a different era in time, people were able to self-promote, and the good ones were able to sustain and do it. But once again, no. But just let me say, Floyd. You talk about Floyd. There's 360,000 boxers in the world. How many are self-promoted?
Greg.
No. How many? It's just like the Hall of Fame. No, because it's like the Hall of Fame. They have a room.
Question.
No, I am. I'm gonna let you, because it's just like the Hall of Fame. Because I had high standards on it. But there's, you know what? Sometimes there's people that just are a little bit more gifted and talented. They go to that special place, right? Floyd happened to be one of those in boxing. There's a lot of people that aren't like Floyd in boxing that still make a good career.
I'm gonna use you as an example.
Yeah.
You and I was talking about your 50th home run and how you were hard on yourself in the tunnel before you got to the next plate because you had a standard, Greg.
No, because I had a month and a half to hit that son
But
of
he
a
had a
bitch.
standard.
And it's only been 29 of us.
He had a standard.
You know. No, I had a standard. But I think you don't make it to professional sports to the upper echelon or upper levels without having a drive and a standard.
Let me go back to answer your question. You asked so what do you do? The market has changed. The world has changed. You have to pivot.
Adjust.
You have to
You have to change
pivot.
with it.
Adjust,
That's the hard part.
You have to pivot. And that's what his friend has to do. He has to have some, if he's that good, and they're just keeping him around as a filler, they're misusing him, and he doesn't know it.
But he knows it. It's the same thing.
No, he doesn't.
It's the same thing in baseball. You guys I played with that should have played in the big leagues that didn't get the opportunity because, they can't get themselves up there. Where are they going to go? So with this guy, if you're not liked, and dude, it takes 1 second to earn a reputation. It takes a lifetime to get rid of a reputation. So whatever they say, they're in control of the game. Whatever they say, until people like us or whatever start forming their own leagues, they have to play by their rules.
Because like for the standard, I have like my dad knows this, everybody around me knows this, is I'm the toughest on myself. Like even prior to us like saying action and turn on the camera, I'm over here scrubbing my video from sparring an hour ago. Like I'm sitting here watching and slow-mo scrolling through and looking like I need to do this, I need to do that. I've won fights and immediately looked at my coach and been like, man, I got hit with this, I need to do this. And he'll look at me and be like, brother, you just won. Just relax. Like, so my standard is for performance, but you're correct in the sense that I'm still new to the business and the marketing.
I'm looking at this sport from a different aspect.
Yeah. Yes, and I'm still new to that.
But you have to, bro. It's your life.
Yeah.
You don't have 2 years to look at it later.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When the contract slid in front of you, you have to have that business acumen.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, they're all businesses,
and it's mostly social media.
This is his business. I understand what you're saying, like, but I just wish you had as much. We don't, as a professional athlete now. The 30 times are, and people can self-market. You couldn't do it back then. Like I said, I hit 50 home runs. Why'd I get traded? I did what I was supposed to.
Greg, he has access to a 16-time All-Star. You have access to this guy. You know what business decisions to make, even if you're not in the right sport. You know what business decision to make. You guys are looking at it from totally different from what I'm saying.
But I just made these connections a week. I just met you guys a week ago.
I know it's that.
I think everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
But you understand? But we also have to set it up for the younger generation coming, bro.
But it's also social media too.
But listen, you're the example. You look like them.
Social media people?
Just America.
But yeah, no, I get what you're saying.
Look at his shirt.
Yeah.
This guy has a master's degree.
So you're saying, why is he boxing if he has a master's degree?
Say that.
No, I'm asking. Is that what you're? No, I was just saying.
I did not finish my master's program. I don't want that thrown out there.
But still,
I get what you're saying. I appreciate it. I got a bachelor's though. I did do that.
His connections at one of the most prestigious universities on the planet.
But did you hear what he said earlier?
I graduated from Temple University.
But still, did you hear what he said? He still loves to fight. You can't. When you love something, it's hard to replace.
I've been fighting since I was on the football field.
Asking him where in his journey, he said he had backstops from 22. How old are you now?
29.
Has he given himself evaluation points where he said, okay, I didn't hit this market. I didn't hit this mark. I didn't hit this mark. Does his business acumen kick in versus his love for the sport?
Well, to me, my business acumen
it's something that's hard to give up. You know what I mean? It's so hard to give up. It's like when I went from Minnesota to the Rams. I didn't want to go to Minnesota to the Rams. I leave my team. I leave the whole defensive line and linebackers and tackles. But I'm the last motherfucker they want to. The last person they want to pay. It's just a business. It's something that we have to follow. Greg hit 50 home runs and they traded him. Traded him. Now this man, he ain't got no title belt. He know what he's got to do to get to where he got to be. This man hit 50. I leave my team and tackles, and they get rid of me.
So let me use you.
I took one loss in the PFL and got dropped.
See,
one loss.
I was 2-1 in the PFL and got dropped.
He said, I did not want to go. I did not want to leave my team.
Yeah.
So you had the options to say no, but you said I made a business decision to go.
So when you say no,
did you make a business decision?
You, not him. You.
Oh.
No, but you don't want
you.
But if you don't want to go, how do you get them to stay?
Yeah.
You can't make them stay.
You don't.
That's your decision, bro.
But you got to be. But you're right. You got to have enough cojones to say, you know what, I don't want to be here, so I'm not gonna let y'all talk to me this way, treat me this way, and I'm gonna walk out the door and live with the rest of my life being okay with that decision. But I wasn't at that point. Even when I retired at 39, I wasn't ready, because I felt like it was on their terms. And he's at 29.
That's my point exactly.
So I came back.
That's my point exactly.
Yeah.
What did that say?
I built my own.
But it's all a business. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm my own entity.
That's been my biggest thing. Is I'm
my own entity.
I'm always betting on myself.
But that's the business.
I got a T-shirt that says, I built my own dream and bet on myself.
Yeah.
You bet on yourself, man.
Yeah.
And D's just saying, for how long before you walk away?
We're in those backstops. was those evaluations that?
See, my evaluations, it wasn't monetary in the sense of, I understand what you're saying from a business perspective, like it needs to be about the money. I get it. But my whole thing is everything in my life, I've done a lot of different things in my life. Most of the time when I was counted out to do it, I was a 1-year starter in high school. I get a scholarship to go to the Citadel. I make the Shrine Bowl down in South Carolina. So it was the best players in South Carolina versus North Carolina. I was a 1-year starter. I played at a school that had 10 championships in like 15 years. I had 4- and 5-star recruits on my team.
Allure?
So what I'm saying is, my whole thing and my whole goal in life and my thought of everything is, you give me an opportunity and I'm gonna knock the top off.
What's the allure? Okay, let's say you obtain all that. What do you get? What, a trophy, a championship belt?
Bro, the goal is to get a championship belt and like make money. But the goal is to be my biggest goal, and I tell this to anybody who wants to be a fighter. And maybe it's wrong on my part because you think about the business.
Legitimate question.
My goal is to be a champion.
A logical question. Do you think there's somebody that won a Super Bowl ring and took a beating and made $30,000 a year?
Yeah.
30,000 a year?
Somebody that did.
A lot of them did.
Yeah, Doug Williams did.
All of them did.
Yeah, but look where Doug's at now.
That's a bunch of them. Doug in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Hall of Fame.
They rewarded.
It's a lot of guys that did that.
I think to clear it up, and because and you're not going to agree with my perspective on it, but my thing with fighting is, my goal is to be a champion, and the money is the secondary thing.
As soon as Doug did that, he was out the league. As soon as Doug did that, he was out the league.
No, they put Doug out the league because they didn't want to see no other black quarterback saying he did it. Why come we can't come do it? He won a Super Bowl.
My point exactly, guys.
But the point is this, Greg. You have a Super Bowl. I mean, you have a Major League Championship ring.
The World Series?
Yeah.
No, I was first loser. That was first loser. No.
Okay, you first loser, right?
Yeah.
Okay, check this out. Hey, did you ever in your life play baseball for money?
Every day I went out there, I played for a ring.
I played for the ring, man. But what he trying to tell you, Ken Folk?
As he got okay.
Just hear me out. We listen to you.
Okay.
As athletes, we don't play for the money. The money come as we get the rings. Only thing I wanted in my life, man, was a Super Bowl ring, man.
The money has to be, James. The money has to be there. It has to sustain the lifestyle. You guys,
no, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, it has to. You can't get up and take the punishment you take for no ring. There has to be a monetary. There has to be something.
No, it's called love. It's called love for the.
You know how many Super Bowl rings I've seen at Pawn Stars?
Right, right.
But also,
there has to be something.
At the end of the day, we start out playing the games for nothing.
There has to be an intrinsic value there.
But we start out doing this for nothing.
But D, your value is your own determination of your value, and everybody else
That's
is.
what I'm saying.
No.
Your value. Didn't I say that?
No, but he
saying the same thing.
But he said his value might not. You might not agree, but his self value of.
I didn't say what his value was.
Well, no, I told you what my value was.
No, you thought I was looking for a number. Yes, he did.
3 different athletes do the same thing.
I wasn't comparing any of them.
Look, hang on. To clear this up, what Dee's saying is that, like, the thing is that, like, he's made his career off of, his
being a boss.
But it's different. He didn't use his body in that sense. You guys all.
But he loved. But he loved the clothes there.
Correct.
He loved it.
His love is what it is.
Correct.
He loved it. Your passion was
hold up. Let me finish that real quick.
Physical abuse.
Yes, because the thing is that he could start a business. He didn't have to go work for the major clothier, like association. You know what I mean? Where they were
in charge of him.
Value, right?
Yeah.
That's what he's saying. So he's just trying to say to every athlete and everybody coming up now is like, hey, know your worth from a young age, rather than because again, most people, as you know, like, dude, Chappelle made the joke. I think everybody made that joke. It was like, you better, rap, you better learn a sport or something to get out of these things.
These kids are signing contracts now, 9 and 11.
Yeah.
They're signing them now, guys.
Yeah, there's a reason.
But no one's disagreeing with that. I don't understand.
But if you don't know your worth, if he didn't, in his all I asked in his backstop, did he set a monetary value that if he didn't hit, it was going to be a decision.
Mine was as much as make as much as you can make.
I didn't ask how much it was. I just said, did you do that? Yes or no? And you never answered it.
The answer is no. I didn't set a monetary backstop. I set a goal on where I want to be. And because there are certain goals that offer opportunities, right? So when I got my contract for the PFL, my contract laid out multiple routes of how much money I could make. So like in theory, when I signed my PFL contract, I had the opportunity potentially to make $1 million.
And
so why like
be the allure then?
Yeah.
No, the yes and it's yes and no.
Twofold.
Because, bro, I go out there and I get punched in the face. I get kicked in the head.
What's the other?
Right?
What's the
Hold
other
on.
allure?
I do it because I love it. If I think about it in theory, unless we're talking about millions upon millions of dollars, the day after the fight, the month after the fight is not worth the money. I'm in there for the love of it. And I know this because I've had 10 fights total, amateur and professional, right? After my first fight against a Brazilian guy last year, my Challenger Series fight for the PFL, I won that fight. I was all jacked up. And by myself the next morning, I had to look myself in the mirror and ask myself, hey, bro, so, like, you made it, bro. Like, you fought on television, your friend. Like, you always wanted to make it to a professional organization. You did that. Do you still want to do this? Sat on it for a little bit. On the flight back home, I was like, yeah, I love it. I've tried to quit fighting multiple times.
What was the motivating factor saying it?
It's just my love and my passion for it. And if I'm good at it, the money will come. Like, don't get me wrong. I don't find myself.
If I'm good at it, you are.
I am good at it. Yeah, but that's what we're saying, though, is that, like, when you're good at it, the money comes.
So he's saying he didn't worry about the money because he knew he's good enough to get to the money. That's what he's saying.
My whole thing is,
just like,
am I going to be in my 30s?
If I'm good at it.
No,
That's what he said.
But that's what I said. But like that's the thought process is like if you're good at something, the money's gonna come.
That's what I think.
Like that's the way I was trying to speak it out.
Say you have to say. You have to project.
I said if I'm good at it, the money's gonna come. That was
take out.
I'm talking about this is me talking to myself 1 year ago. This is me talking to myself 1 year ago after.
Especially when you're talking to yourself.
After the first.
Take it out. Especially when you got to convince you before you convince me, bro.
He's already convinced. Like he said, he woke up doing it.
But he said it to me differently, bro.
I was just telling you how I was talking to my, I guess I get what you're saying, but that's how I was talking to myself after I like.
You gotta have that mentality,
I went through
bro.
my first battle.
I'm telling you, have to have it.
I went through my first battle. Like I had
you may not think that's important.
Oh, it's very important. How you speak to yourself is one of the most important things. I had a moment of being able to be honest with myself.
Or is a huge difference when making a statement to yourself. And those two things are a huge difference. You have to have the mentality, bro.
I think, like I said, I don't know anybody. That's one sport, boxing and UFC. If you have to have love for it because there's no other reason to do it. I mean, to get hit. I mean, you see these dudes' faces and ears and heads. I mean, you talk about CTE.
I'm giving.
You know what I mean?
I just wanted to.
Well, that's why the money should be very important too.
It has to be,
that's what he's trying to say.
But as an athlete, I mean, you look at it from this side. Yeah. When you look at it from this side, you don't say like my first year in the big leagues.
Yeah.
You know, my get there and be the best, be one of the best or the best ever that's ever played this game.
Greg,
and then the money
mechanism built in.
No, but I think he was saying the same thing. But
he doesn't. His sport doesn't have a mechanism built in.
No.
NFL doesn't have a mechanism built in. Yours does.
What do you mean mechanism?
From day one, you
got pensions and.
Oh, NFL at least offers. They have league minimums and stuff like that. Like they at least make sure, and I
said a mechanism. The mechanism of what?
But the average is still only 3 years in the MLB. Yeah. It's still only 3 years. The average player.
Yeah, but. Let's say he gets there, and then he requires some type of care or long-term care. What is that? Does that come from the league?
No, I mean when you're done, we're done, dog. When they're done with you, if you're not on the coaching staff,
it's like you have to focus on that side of the business. Your passion cannot exceed that. It's not. It wouldn't be logical to do that. Sir.
Now here's the thing.
See, now logical and doing it is different.
But it wouldn't be logical. You know now.
But hold on, here's the thing. Those type of evaluations are things that I do take into account. You know
the difference now.
If I feel like my speech is going and my mental capacity is going, I value my.
Set that aside, regardless, bro. You're in a.
But that's what I'm saying. These are things that I'm looking at.
He's right though. Those things don't just happen overnight though. That could. I mean,
you have to plan for that, bro.
Well, you have to plan for everything, but I'm just saying. No.
He goes to work totally different than I do, Greg.
No, I know.
His retirement is totally different from mine.
They don't have one.
His long-term and short-term care is totally different.
They didn't give us long-term
So he
care.
has to focus on that.
We all do. We all do.
And his evaluation on that is that in his evaluation, he has to focus on
my whole
that.
thing.
How long you been fighting now? 2 years?
I've been doing MMA for 2 years. Almost, not even, almost. But I've been fighting from start. Like we're
22, you said.
4 years.
And he had, what, 5-year backstop?
Started in 2019.
Yeah, two evaluations already, right?
Yeah.
In your life.
Yeah.
Guys, I'm not judging where he's at in his career. I was just asking, does he have a mechanism for himself in his own head to say, this outweighs my passion?
And he said no.
It has to make economical sense.
Well, no, to that phrase, yes. I do have, like, there's going to be a certain point where I'm going to look at the situation that I'm in. Like, quite honestly, I have a goal in my head right now that my next goal is to make it to the UFC, right? And if I don't feel like I'm on track to make that happen within the next year, then that's it for me.
Hey, let me ask you a question, D. So, your team, your state, New England, they said Tom Brady, we don't want Tom Brady. Said, hey, man, they didn't want him. So Tom Brady said, let me go win another Super Bowl, because his passion and his love and his sacrifices, all the stuff he was doing to still play the game that he loved, got him another ring. You know what I mean? So very rarely does the athlete have the choice in our industry. Usually it's the organization. That's why they got the bees in front of it.
Well, he had the choice because he made the money.
Right.
Yeah, but he still but D say.
But would that choice be different?
No, but even if it's not, let me ask you this:
Yeah.
I think it's still the same choice because he still loved it. He gave up his family. He loved it that much that he gave up his family.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying to you is, he had all the money in the world, and like you said, he's taking a beating every day, right? You play football, at any moment you can it could be game over, cancel Christmas, right? But he still at 41 he still went out there to risk all that. And this is a man that, why would he even risk this if
he didn't want to be home?
Psychologically,
he want to be home with his wife.
Issues.
Aaron Rodgers coming back.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers on the older end,
He did not want to be
Achilles,
home with
and
her.
comes
No,
back.
but I'm saying it can't be too in.
You're sidetracking from what I'm saying. I've been in business. Every year I'm in business, I set aside an amount for my future later.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I was asking if those are mechanisms he had in place.
Absolutely not.
In his profession.
I don't make enough right now. I don't. I'm gonna be 100% honest. I don't
It wasn't
make
about his performance, what he can do. Judging him, it's about the business side.
No, but I knew, because I know what those fighters, but like I said, there's more guys like on this end than the ones you were talking about, that, like the Conor and the Floyds and all that, De La Hoya. You're talking about 3 Hall of Famers.
And those are things I didn't realize until I got into the business of it.
Us, regular men.
Okay, but if you were talking about business, we could talk about business.
That's what we were talking about.
No, but you were saying
the business side of it.
No, but it's still, when you love and passion, he has to determine when
Greg, he can't take that to the bank.
But and when he feels,
take that passion to the bank.
But when he feels it's important enough,
but can he take it to the bank? I'm saying
when he has it, when he's had enough, he's going to determine that it's time to do something else, and that's when only he can decide that.
Just saying, logical gentlemen, logic.
What do you think minor league baseball players make?
Logic, Greg.
They make 6 figures now. No,
they make $800 a month.
Yeah, I was like, nah.
$800 a month. So you tell me, your dream, you out there and these little towns that don't even have people that look like us. Some don't. I mean, you just driving through these places. You can't. So don't. But no, it's not guaranteed.
They give themselves a certain. I'm gonna do this until when?
No, everyone's different.
And I gave you that. But
everyone's different.
But I gave you that answer though. I told you mine is gonna be 30, and I'm gonna reevaluate to see where I'm at. 32. If things are on track and I'm moving in the direction that I've decided is okay for me, boom.
I was only asking you.
I'm moving in the direction.
Your statement. You said within the 22 to 30 to 29, I'd have several evaluations, and I asked, within those evaluations, were there any monetary standards that you had that lend to whether you're going to continue this or not? Bro, I wasn't judging you. I wasn't.
No. And I gave you I gave you an answer, and the answer was no. I had goals of like I would like to be at this
but
point, but I didn't like those goals weren't met, but the other goals were, and I was like,
wasn't looking for an explanation after that. You didn't. Oh, there wasn't. To be honest, bro, there's no right or wrong answer coming from you.
It's just my answer.
Yes, but you have to understand that that is part of it.
Yeah,
you can't let your passion supersede that. It wouldn't make sense.
And
do you plan on having kids one day?
I do, but
you let your kids fight?
If that's what they really wanted to do, yes. But my goal is to put myself in a position where like my kids don't have to do any of the things that I did in order for them. Like I don't want them to have to play sports to go to college. I don't want them to have to fight. Now, if they say I want to play football because I love it, I want to fight because I love it,
support
then absolutely. Yeah. But like I knew in the small town that I was in, my way out was I had to go to college. And that was going to be through football. My parents were like, hey, I know you're smart, you're in honors and AP classes, stuff like that, but if you can't get an academic scholarship, you're going to have to get a sports scholarship because we're not going to be able, like, or go into debt to go to school. So I was like, free school, football, I love football, great. And that's what I set my sights on and I set my goal on, and I was able to do that.
And it worked because you got your bachelor's, like you said. So
got my bachelor's, but also I got, because this was a part of the evaluation as well, was I got what I really wanted out of going to college. Got 2 championship rings as a team. So like my team, we won 2 championships my senior year. And in education.
So like you said,
but my goal, like I had. Education was important because I always knew that it was taught to me to be important, right? My dad was like, that's the one thing they can never take away from you. So since I was a kid, great, education was high. But also as I'm looking at the few schools that are interested in me, I was like, it goes back to the athlete in me that was like, bro, I'm not here to just play. I don't want to just be on a team. I want to win. So I was like evaluating schools on that note. So it's like, cool, I can get an education from any of these schools that are offering me a scholarship. Can I win? Will I be able to have an impact in play? And we ended up winning 2 championships. I ended up becoming an All-American and achieving all my goals.
Those schools that offer you partial scholarships or full scholarships, and they weren't the ones. If you could have gone to Michigan, would you?
100. Man, I wanted to go to the University of Miami, and by the time I was a senior, I would have taken an offer from UAB, who was about to get their program cut.
So they set you worth.
100%. It starts when you're, but like that's the thing with sports is, yes, it starts when you're young, and there are people who want to determine their worth. Actually, there's a great example. One of my best friends from high school, great linebacker.
But as the participants are getting younger, and we see how this social media, all this, are really shaping how a kid's future goes. I mean, you have some coaches in schools, high schools and middle schools, hate after-school programs. Or not hate them, but are just against them because the money drives them, and the kid doesn't, or the parent, or they do or don't acknowledge that they're so marketable to the other side, and they give you so less because we don't know. And what I was saying is you should ask. As soon as Deion's son said, this is what I want, and he got it, we thought it was an anomaly. No, he knew his worth.
But go ahead.
Because I was about to say that
he knew his worth.
Okay, go ahead.
Sorry, because you can think that you know your worth, and the great example for me that I witnessed myself.
He knew his worth.
Look, man,
But somebody else, you only worth what somebody else is willing to pay.
I was a 1-year starter in high school, right?
Looking for a response.
But here's the thing, though.
I'm not looking for a response.
But here's where knowing your worth can backfire. Like, or here's the thing.
This is when you should just absorb information.
I understand.
And not talk. But sometimes when wisdom's handed to you, sometimes you have to absorb it and ponder. I'm not looking for you to explain where you are or why. I only said that as an example.
Because that's deep. That's deep. That's like.
And I don't think you get it, bro.
You know, like no man can judge another man.
I understand that. I have to know my worth. However, there has to sometimes.
I'm not asking you for an explanation.
He's just trying to give you.
I'm trying to explain a position where I watched somebody who thought their worth was one thing, and they misvalued themselves, and they missed out on every single opportunity.
You just misvalued the wisdom I gave you. I'm not trying to talk down to you, sir.
But what I'm trying to explain. So I had a friend in high school, right?
You're still saying but.
who is a 3-year starter. I just got to get this story off my chest because I'm curious to see what other people's opinion of this type of situation is, because I decided that I want to go down to the Citadel. I'm like, I've never started a high school game, right? So I'm like, I'm going to go down to the Citadel camp. Hey, bro, you want to come with me? Citadel's D1 AA. This man looks at me and goes, no, I'm an FBS school guy.
I understand, bro.
Like, he thought his value was to go to University of South Carolina, to go to Clemson, to go to a big Division I school.
That's not where the lesson lied just now.
But we're talking about placing my value, knowing my worth, and knowing myself. And this man missed out on opportunities.
Yeah, but we got to listen. Let him talk to him. But he has to have a chance, though, D.
I understand, Greg, but he has to, Greg, he has to understand this part. Wisdom's two-part. Obtaining it and walking it. All I was saying to him is say, hey man, this is how someone in your field may have obtained what they thought they were worth. I did not look for a response. I didn't want you to rebut it. Nobody's saying why you are where you're at in your station in life. And you felt like you owed us an explanation off that statement. And it's where you are in life is where you are. You don't owe us an explanation. And I wasn't soliciting one. You didn't owe me no story or backstory. I just wanted you to take the information and say, bro, sometimes you have to just absorb information and think about it. You can't just be quiet just to respond.
No, but can I ask you this, though? But don't you think it's twofold, though? Because, and that goes for everyone, because we're all a sponge, right? Whenever someone stops absorbing and stops being a sponge, that's another time that you're going to be by yourself, because nobody wants to be around you because you're going to know it all. But also, other people can give the wisdom back and so all of us are still growing and evolving, correct?
I think you guys are saying the same thing.
Yeah.
I do have a question for you then. As I'm trying to absorb the information, sometimes, because you'll hear different things about knowing your worth, right? And there are going to be people who will say, you know, be delusional, dream big, and market yourself. Like, you need to think that you're bigger than where you actually are. And I guess my question with the story that I was trying to tell, though, is how much of it is I need to know my honest worth? Like, I have to truly evaluate where I'm really at. And how much is it do I need to believe so large, so big, and so delusionally in myself that I may ruin an opportunity, but I may ruin opportunities because I've overvalued myself. Because like I said, because I wanted to go to University of Miami, but I had to look at my...
At that point,
like...
The only thing I asked you is why on that one statement you thought you owed me an explanation.
Because I'm trying to absorb it to figure it out.
Exactly what he's doing.
He was explaining to you.
What's an explanation? You said he was explaining to me.
No, this is an interview with him. We're here interviewing him. What he's doing is giving us an example of what one of his friends did, which overvaluated himself by not being worth what he thought he was worth to them.
And maybe not being
athletic game.
And not being honest with himself.
Yeah, because sometimes
athletic game is different than your game.
Because sometimes you have to go. It doesn't make sense for everyone to go to Ohio State. Everyone ain't gonna play at Ohio State. But you still can have some self-worth. I'm not saying put your value down, but you got to be smart enough to go where your decision benefits you.
Like, respectfully, I knew my worth wasn't, like, I knew my worth wasn't to go D2.
You know what it's not?
Like, I knew that.
Creeping into egoism. Yeah. Come on, guys. We're doing logic here. It's a balance.
I thought it was. I mean, I'm saying,
how do you your ego?
But how do you determine the worth?
I said, I'm going to go somewhere where I can play.
I wasn't soliciting. He didn't have to tell me why his worth was here. The only thing I was saying is, hey, man, this guy thought his worth was here. When he asked for it, along with the help from his dad and everybody that helped him, when he asked for it, he was granted it.
Okay, but once again, now pick me the last man on the team and his self-worth and see if he gets the same opportunities as Shakur and the rest of them. I'm just saying, sometimes they fall where they fall, but I believe every time you get up in the morning, you're the baddest man on the planet, and he thinks that.
I believe that about myself. Look, in my mind, bro, I'm worth $1 million.
If not
but
more.
Realistically, I have to look at where I'm at in my career, how I rank against the other people, and I do have to look at certain things and I respectfully have turned down fights and been like, that's not my worth. Like, I was in Thailand for a couple months. They offered me to.
Wanting a dollar amount. All I want you to do is the understanding of what I'm saying.
Okay, that's a fair analogy. But can you be fair on this end? Because I know you're looking at it from the business side. But and I understand you have the capability to, something, God forbid, you can do something else in business if it was a clothier. But when I heard you talk about, when I called it, you called it clothier and excitement and what it brought to you. And even the guy that first helped you, right? They got you in the door, like you mentor the guy you were talking about. That's the same love we have for our business. And not all of you, you're right, not all of us are smart enough to get out when it's time to get out. Not all of us are educated enough to have that.
Right. We have to have those same people that helped us get there. I mean, it's a journey. You can't, just because you made it to the major leagues, it doesn't stop. The learning doesn't stop.
I'm learning from him today.
Right.
I'm learning about him too.
Right.
Because your upbringing, Mitsu's, James, mine, all of us,
when I started 20 years ago, the price isn't the same as it is today, is what I'm saying.
Well, we know that.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. In his career,
It went down and then went up.
has his price or his monetary backstop, whatever his monetary guarantee, whatever you want to call it, because you have to put money into it. If you just sit there and put passion over money, it's not gonna make sense.
Okay. To you, D. But listen to me. When you're starting off in the minor leagues, you're not saying how much money am I gonna put in the bank. No, listen to me, because it might take you 8-9 years to get there.
Exactly what I just said.
So then no, but I'm saying, so you can't, that passion. Some of the guys don't get there till they're 13 years in the minor leagues.
Your first at bat after making the All-Star.
No, first making the big leagues.
No, let me finish. Your first at bat after making the All-Star. Your first at bat after that, what'd you say to yourself? They could never I'd never pay for that again.
You are what you worth, but you also.
What did you say to yourself?
But I said that going in. But I said
that's your self-worth, and that's all I'm trying to get him to realize.
But I understand his grind right now. He's in the grinding stages.
Did you have a backup plan, Greg?
His realization.
I went to school, got a credit.
Greg, his realization.
Backup plan too.
Here we are, and not me, you and y'all can give it to him because you played at the highest level.
But I also understand what
Please let me finish.
Okay.
You played at the highest level. You can give him the information of wisdom to say, hey man, this should be your path and this should be a backstop throughout your journey. I don't give a fuck how much passion you have, because you know now. You know the different stuff. You didn't know when you were 29. You know what I mean? Yeah. You know now. So you have to give it to him.
Okay, but
he has to give it to the younger generation.
Okay, but the way you're giving it might be different than the way I give it. You know what I'm saying?
Well, help me polish it up.
No, not polish. But I'm just saying I can only give it by my experiences, right?
That's what I'm asking you to do, Greg.
Yeah, but everybody I talk to.
But Greg, you and him, not everybody else.
Can this be a great example? Say this. Use myself. All right. My general manager comes in and asks me to take a pay cut. Okay? I'm making this amount last year, but when I come back for the next year, they ask me to take a pay cut. Now, I can use my ego and say, fuck y'all. No, I'm not playing for that. Or I can say, okay, am I worth this or that now? Me, myself, the position that I was in at the time, I retired. I said, fuck this. I'm not playing for no fucking less money than I played.
Do you see what I was saying?
Yeah, because
I know where you was going. So
but I said you got to.
At the end of the day, what Dee is trying to say on that matter, say you have the knowledge that you have today, right? Mm-hmm. Instead of even retiring, you could be like, well, I know you made more money this year than you did last year, so why would you pay me less?
But at 20,
you know what I mean?
Years
like
old,
you have to have. That's what he's trying to say. That's exactly what he's saying.
But-
He's saying
but-
that we need to give those things to the younger
I have a-
generation.
I have a-
Give it to 'em.
You know how much the
I have
younger
a question,
generation.
but I also have a
much the
question about the
PFL
difference in the game because, not even trying to offer an explanation, but now I'm asking a question when it comes to the evaluation and knowing my worth. So I was making pretty decent money when for myself when I would win in the PFL.
Yeah.
Now that I'm a free agent, because the thing is, I didn't win $1 million while I was there. I wasn't a champion. There's nothing like
Last
that.
one. Did you hear the story? He
So
lost?
there's not. Hold on,
Don't put
hold
a dollar
on.
amount.
No,
We
no,
don't need to know your dollar.
I'm not going to,
Yeah.
but I'm going to ask. I'm going to pose some questions. I'm not going to tell people what I was making, but it wasn't a lot, but it was a lot for me.
Yeah.
So you go from that, right? But I wasn't a champion, so there's no one knocking on the door to consume me right now as a free agent, which means I have to go back to the regional market. So I'm going to go from fighting for commas to they might be able to offer me $1,500 to fight, right? However, I still got juice left in the tank. I know I can make it to the UFC. There's an automatic pay cut because now I have to fight in the regional scene in order to make it back to the big leagues.
Isaiah, you know what they're saying to you? Hey, man, what makes you different in the pool of all these guys? Stand out.
Yeah, I have to go out and show it. But I'm saying that for
Not that you could just fight. Everybody can fight. How can you sell tickets? You guys are missing the business.
No, I understand that, but
No,
also
but everybody's not marketable. Like, look at, I was a King Griffey Jr. I was a King Griffey Jr. He had fun and smiled and did. I played different.
Not you.
Yeah, but today you would have
Not
been
you.
marketable.
Let's use him for the example on this one occasion.
Yeah.
Let's just use him.
I think, you know
what
why
I'm
I know
saying is like
so?
here, yeah, I would
Okay,
have to sell some
We're going
tickets.
to
People's
piggyback off this
personalities,
story.
man.
Let's listen
You're
to
all
this story, John.
You're all marketable now.
Absolutely. They're telling you, you're the best. You think you're the best. You can fight. So can these 4,000 guys. What makes you stand out? If you just because you can fight?
No, knocking people out, Seth, make you. When you knock people out, that's get you
He
paid.
knows somebody can do that.
But listen, what I'm saying. If I haven't not seen a fighter that got paid the highest margins. Your examples were that. Now, what I'm saying is that wasn't winning. If you have to win to get this.
He knows a guy that does everything you said,
I was going to say,
but can't
Connor
get in front of the
lost,
camera.
More than half of his
Can't
fights,
get in
he
front.
still
Can't
was
get the big
marketable.
fight. Why?
Yeah.
What makes him not stand out?
What he's saying is that there's been a playbook.
You have to put that in your
This is what I was
business.
mentioning
And
earlier.
I understand
There's
that.
a
What I was
playbook out
asking you
there, right?
directly though was about the evaluation of myself going
Bruh.
because in order to achieve the
Ask
goal,
yourself.
I
Don't
have to
ask
go.
me. Ask yourself. No, listen to me. Listen.
Hold on, for me,
Listen
I
to
know
me.
which
Let me
route, and
finish.
I'm willing to,
Let me
but I'm
finish.
willing
Let
to
me
take
finish.
what I got to
Let
take
me
to get where I'm
finish.
trying to go.
Please, let me finish. Please, and listen. If you don't do anything else, absorb what I'm telling you, bro. You're going back into a pool. You just said, I just left PFL. Now I'm knowing what the market's. What is going to make me stand out from these 4,000 guys? You can fight. You can put somebody in a chokehold. How can I sell more tickets than this guy? You have to. Don't answer me. Don't answer me. I don't want an answer. Take that with you.
That would be it. That's a wrap. After Sports 23. Isaiah, I appreciate you, bro.
Appreciate you.
Listen, you have to put that in your equation, bro.
Yeah.